Here's the thing that got announced: is Batman, a Telltale game series. The secret of Batman has been revealed to the world. This is coming out this summer. It's going to be rated M, and you're going to switch between being Bruce and Batman segments that will inform one another. Here's some good news. It's going to be an updated version of Telltale's engine. So
thank Christ.
It definitely needs it. It is so long overdue. I will reserve excitement until I see what the changes are.
The last Telltale game that I finished was The Wolf Among Us. Basically due to the engine. I played a fair amount of Game of Thrones and most of Tales from the Borderland, but that engine is so bad that I don't know, I couldn't bring myself to...
You're playing on like PS4, Xbox One, something like that?
PS4.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can you play
this
on PC?
This is a PlayStation podcast, Marty. Of course I was playing on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, I haven't had that much issue with the engine. I understand the engine kind of sucks, but like it doesn't really matter to me, honestly, which is a weird thing to say.
My takeaway has always been not so much that the engine has problems, but that their kind of QA is spread thin because they're like, this is coming out for Xbox One and PS4 and PS3 and Xbox 360 and Wii U and Vita and Android.
iPhone and your shoes and your toaster
coming
and fridge
out for
can play it.
your Apple Watch.
Coming soon to calculators.
Yeah. Game Boy Color.
Yeah. So I mean, an updated version of the engine is, I don't know what that means. They said it's going to be like a vast improvement. I don't know, what that means. What was their judgment on that? The two things that are super interesting here are the rated M, which is rare for a Batman property that isn't a video game, or that is, that isn't a
film.
No.
You can't rate a film M.
List the mediums.
That doesn't have
yes.
Frank Miller's name before it.
Yeah.
And also, I love the idea that it is going to sort of be split in half between segments as Bruce and segments as Batman, and sort of you having to role play as this really awful billionaire playboy.
I would love to just be the playboy the whole time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Honestly, like Batman's pretty cool, but we've done a lot of Batman punching and swinging and detective stuff. I'm all about just buying hotels, just going around being a real jerk.
Jumping in fountains.
Yeah.
Yeah,
doing a couple fountain kisses.
Walking on lawns. You
thinking that Vichy
on.
Swaz is supposed to be hot, but it's not. It's cold soup.
It's cold soup.
Yeah.
Don't be stupid.
Using my Batman credit card to go through drive-through.
Yeah.
In that Batman car. Wait, that's Batman. Never mind.
That is regular Batman, yeah. Bruce Wayne does not drive the Batman car.
You get a lot of questions if Bruce Wayne's driving the Batmobile. I mean, I feel like the cat would be out of the bag.
I'm going to go see Edward Nigma
The
at
bat
work
would be
and
out of the cave if it as it were.
Mr. Nigma, I don't know if this is a good idea. I met you before, but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. You guys, I mean, where are you guys at?
Nicole Kidman's door.
In terms of Batman stuff, and B in terms of Telltale?
Man, I am super down with Batman stuff still. Like the new 52 Batman, they just sort of winded. It has sort of concluded in that Zack Snyder and Greg Capullo are no longer on it after issue 51, but it was like 51 perfect issues of Batman. It's like the best the series has been since Jim Lee in like the 90s. Yeah, and it's like totally reinvigorated my interest in Batman. Not that it ever really went away, it's just sort of enhanced it. So I'm super excited by this. I love the notion of making choices like as Batman or Bruce Wayne. Like you get a problem and then you pick, okay, I'm going to do this as Bruce or I'm going to do this as Batman. And that's a major thing because that will totally change what the rest of that episode looks like.
Well, especially considering how they've discussed how the influences or how the decisions influence each other. Like how you make decisions as Bruce influences the way you play as Batman, right? I think that's super interesting. That's the thing that's kind of hooked me into the game because I feel like as far as Batman games go, I'll always play a Batman game. Like full disclosure, I booted up Arkham Knight this weekend and just flew around the city for a little while.
Full disclosure, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a bad
just
game.
Just be really transparent. I played that really dumb game.
It's not a bad game.
It's not a great game,
it's very
but
dumb.
it's super fun to just fly around. And like that part of the Batman experience, I feel like is fine, but I feel like where Telltale will excel is like more of the detective stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like you'll play way more as a detective than a combatant in this one.
I really hope that they put more of an emphasis on like detective stuff and like kind of that. Like Telltale's really good at doing the storytelling stuff, obviously, and the kind of the dialogue things, but that's always been the least exciting part of adventure games to me. Like I love the point and click, like, what's this thing for? Look at, use, I love that kind of stuff. I love having an inventory, like that old kind of like LucasArts approach. It's cool to have like branching dialogue trees, but that kind of, I don't know, that always kind of burned me out. Like I remember like in like Walking Dead season 1, I was really annoyed that like I think throughout the first episode, I think you like pick up like 3 things.
Sure.
Like it's really,
Yeah.
and you can still interact with your environment, but for no reason. You're like
Yeah.
open drawers, and you're like, oh, there's nothing in here. Okay.
Yeah, Wolf Among Us did a pretty good job. I mean, because Bigby was, a PI pretty much, and so it did a good job of like you getting to a really messed up crime scene and informing yourself of what is happening based on like
Right.
the order of stuff that you're looking at and having to like piece a couple things together, which I think could be super cool in a Batman game. Also, like the idea of if I'm Batman and I get just the shit kicked out of me in a fight and I get totally beat up, then the next morning as Bruce Wayne, when I'm playing as Bruce Wayne, I have to start explaining to people, why are my ribs broke?
I'm bad at polo.
Why do like,
I'm not
totally.
a good polo guy.
Yeah.
I've been doing that Zumba fitness. Jillian Michaels is my personal trainer, and she beat the crap out of me.
Oh, Jillian.
Yeah.
I'm also, I hope they do, like, one thing that the Arkham games haven't done in my mind, aside from the Joker, is really made bad guys interesting. Like, they made bad guys interesting in terms of, like, that was a cool fight, a boss
Yes,
fight against
yes.
Mr. Freeze.
Oh, the
but I
Scarecrow
didn't care
hallucinations were cool.
Yeah, but I didn't
Yeah.
care
But
about
he
any of these
sucks.
things. Whereas, like, obviously the Joker, it seems like the Joker is that one thing that, like, everything's able to nail. Like, the Joker's the most
Yeah.
interesting part of the animated series, of the, of Christopher Nolan trilogy. And so it would be
Snyder
cool.
books.
Yeah, totally.
Probably of Batman in its entirety.
entirety, yeah.
God, I would love to see Telltale take a stab at making its own villain, like a new villain.
Really?
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't
that hasn't
know.
really
Love
turned
that.
out.
It turned out well for the Arkham Knight.
What about Rise of Sin Tzu?
Oh, no.
man.
Jeez.
Remember that
I
little
don't know,
gem?
obviously it was DC, but Hush is still a relatively new villain that nobody ever really did anything with.
Hush makes a lot of sense for this because he's, playing
Yeah.
both sides of the coin, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about deception rather than violence.
Yeah.
Or at least it's like violence by way of somebody else, not him.
Yeah. I mean, I could be down with the Riddler, like just because that's
Solving mysteries
He's
and
less
stuff.
of like he is so much of like. I mean, he does riddles. They're not like
Yeah.
you don't have to punch
right
him.
there in
you
his
don't have
name.
to punch him in the face. It makes more
We
sense
should've
for like
known.
for a Telltale game than it does for like Mr. Freeze.
Right.
I'd be like it'd be really tedious if you were like, yeah, you got to figure out a way to unfreeze your leg, and you're like, I'm gonna go in the garage and look for hot water.
Yeah.
to melt this.
Yeah, I also thought it would have, like, a Telltale GCPD game would have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a comic series based where it's just you are the Gotham City Police Department and you have to deal with the fact that all of this stuff is going around. I guess Gotham, the crappy TV show, sort of does that, but that doesn't count because it's
never seen
it's
that
a
show.
big, it's a
Don't
dumb
waste your
thing
life.
for it's a dumb thing for babbies.
Fair.
Yeah. Telltale also said that Walking Dead Season 3 is this year, and they said that it is going to take an unexpected approach to tying together previous stories, and that it won't be from the same bag of tricks we've ever shown anybody before. We all know what that means. It's going to be a
First-person shooter.
car racing game.
Yeah, it's gonna be multiplayer. It's gonna be part of the Jackbox.
Yeah.
the fourth
Right.
Jackbox.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why say anything?
Yeah, like that's meaningless to me.
Yeah, that's just.
Well, and
that's
at this
fluff.
point, I feel like I've reached like franchise fatigue on The Walking Dead. Like I'm not watching the show anymore.
Every time
I
someone
played
tells
half
me-
of season 2, like I'm not
Season
interested
2
in.
I like season 2 a lot.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't
what
get
I've
excited
heard.
for Michonne.
Yeah, I haven't played Michonne.
Neither
I
can
just,
I, having played it.
Oh no.
I'm just kind of over that whole like zombie apocalypse.
Whenever people
in
tell me
general.
what's going on this season of The Walking Dead, they're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they did this." I'm like, why is that interesting?
I can't
Yeah,
believe
that's
Merle changed his name to Daryl.
Wow.